What kind of planning did Japan have when it wanted to recover from the Second World War?
Japan placed a lot of importance for the education of the people.
What are the lessons that you saw in your early days when you entered Japan and started working there? What were the first things?
Japan was trying its best to catch up with the Europe and Americas.
Do you think the world has come to a place where each country is looking at its own selfish interest?
Whenever there is a big brother and a small brother, the relationships are very good. When the brothers start becoming equal and they have something to divide among themselves,
Then the
they
problem
start.
starts. NARA Japan Hub that you run in Hyderabad. What exactly does it do?
NARA Japan Hub is basically started with the intention of bringing good things from Japan to India. Japan is like a second home to me.
Welcome to Conversations. I'm Suresh Kochate. Usually when I interview guests, they are from a particular industry or a particular lineage or even particular specialty, be it doctors, engineers, real estate professionals, or you name it. But today I have with me somebody who is more associated with a country than with a particular profession. Of course, he's an electrical engineer from Andhra University. But Mr. Ram Bhadra has worn many hats. And over a period of last possibly 20, 25, 30 years, he has been attached with one country in particular, Japan. And when you say Japan, most of us immediately get an idea of the electronics part of Japan, the cars of Japan, the bullet trains of Japan, the discipline of Japanese, and of those, their work ethics. But let us understand that there is a world beyond that also, for which possibly Shri Ram Bhadra can talk to us. Welcome to the show, sir. Namaskar.
Namaste.
So let us start with your basics. Andhra University, electrical engineering. How did you start? Your schooling was there only, sir?
I studied in Hyderabad.
Okay.
My father was in the medical profession. He was professor in Gandhi Medical College.
Okay, sir.
So I studied in Nipatunga Multipurpose Higher Secondary School in Hyderabad. Then I went to Visakhapatnam and I studied in Andhra Institute Engineering College because my father was at that time posted in Vizag.
Okay, there. The obvious question would be, when your father is a doctor, and we have seen that in India quite often, that the children also follow the same path. How come you didn't become a doctor?
My uncle was a very famous engineer. My father, he was chief engineer in State Electricity Board.
Yes, sir.
So I was more influenced by him. My father was a very distinguished biochemist. He won several awards. But my uncle used to take us to power stations, show us around, used to have jeeps and things like that. My father was more like a school teacher or a college teacher, something like that. So I think that had a great influence on me.
Great, sir. Now, the obvious question would be, your association with Japan has been for a long time. You started with the Mitsubishi. And or where did it started? Did it start with that, or was there something before that?
Actually, I graduated in 1973, and 73 to 78 I worked in India. I worked in a consulting company and I worked in Voltas. And when I was in Voltas, I was selected for a Japanese government scholarship called AOTS. And under that scholarship, I was given the opportunity to get an on-job training in Mitsubishi Electric in Tokyo and its associated factories, which are spread out throughout Japan.
When you say Mitsubishi Electric, and obviously the most important thing that comes to one's mind is the kind of efficiency that the Japanese draw, and you can compare them with maybe the Germans, but the Japanese, especially the way they recovered after the Second World War, and approximately the same time India also got its independence, 2 years here or there. But the way the Japanese overcame that entire destruction that was caused by the Second World War, the collapse of the empire there, and the way they reinvented themselves all over again, and way India grew up from a socialist model, lost almost 40 to 50 years going after that model, then realizing that is not working, and coming back to that development in Narasimha Rao's time, and then we know the rest is history. What was Japan? If you can tell us, how did Japan actually? What kind of planning did Japan have when it wanted to recover from the Second World War?
If I can say so,
Yes, sir.
I understood Japan in a slightly different way. Japan during the Meiji era, we started in around 1850. From that point of time, Japan placed a lot of importance for the education of the people. And by early 20th century, they were already almost 90 to 100% literate. Uh, even before the Second World War, Japan was very well advanced in technology and in defense forces and other
True.
services. This is quite different from India. India was quite advanced till the I think 17th century or so, and after that, suddenly due to British rule in India, our development stagnated, and
True.
we were more a kind of resources for Britain's development and advancement. So when we became independent in 1947 and Japan stopped war in 1945 and got distracted, it was for Japan, it was like a very capable country given a clean slate and asked to write their future. And they could do it very well with lot of discipline and lot of determination and with kind of hunger even before they had it, but they with a strong hunger that they should be number one in the world in technology, science, and other things. But they did it with a lot of humility and discipline and good aspects of human life had given the impact on them rather than the bad. Whereas for India, we were burdened with the poverty and lack of education and also newly united country. So it was a bit struggle for us to overcome all that, and I think we'll take some time to
Get to that point.
come near to Japan or other advanced countries.
So one of the things that I grew up reading was Akio Morita's Sony, and then reading about Toyota, reading about Sharp. Those days, the legendary Japanese companies, including Mitsubishi
Yeah.
and all that. They were all like legends of their time. Maybe Sony lost a bit of it, the audio part of it late, but they caught up with the television part of it. The Japanese cars are very well known now. First of our cars itself came from the Suzuki stable, and today Maruti is owned by Suzuki. But there was one thing about Japan when you compare with a country like China, for example. We say Japanese products are top notch. But there was also a time when they were not great, but they improved over a period of time. That requires discipline. When you said that India used to be very good in terms of its GDP, we used to contribute 25% of the world's GDP when we were in the 17th and 18th century compared to what we are now. Of course, our GDP is still very good, but the British literally destroyed India that way. When you look at Japan as such, they never depended on anybody. They grew with the homegrown technology, they developed it, they were very, very finicky about quality. What are the lessons that you saw in your early days when you entered Japan and started working there? What was the first thing when you obviously would compare it to with India for everything and anything, be it from the civic sense on the roads, the cleanliness, the discipline, the timings, everything.
So as I said, the Japan was trying its best to catch up with the Europe and Americas, and they wanted to improve their productivity and things like that. Actually, in the early part of 20th century, Japan had a lot of technology, but still, like many other countries, the technology was not perfect. You can make a good thing after some number of trials. But after they started trying to catch up with the world, the first thing Japan focused is to make the productivity very high. So, in order to make the productivity very high, they have developed several systems, and most of those systems had come from United States and other countries, but they have Japanized those
Okay.
systems. So actually, Japan has learned a lot from the rest of the world. They learned a lot from China. They learned a lot from America. They learned a lot from Europe. In fact, Japan history is full of sending their people to other countries, finding out how they work and all that.
What China is
And
doing now.
yeah, what China is doing, what like that, and they use that knowledge to localize it to their requirements and improve upon it.
Now, when you talk of Japan as such, of course, the quality, the kaizen, and other things that they do in terms of ensuring zero defects and top-notch quality of the products. There's also a fact that the investment that the Japanese decided to put in, or the Japanese government of that day decided to put in, was more to the electronics and automobiles, and of course other industries also. Whereas we didn't get into manufacturing, we were staying with the public sector undertakings, big companies. But over a period of time, we also learned our lessons. We became an IT oriented nation. We became a services nation. We are still not there in manufacturing. China is way ahead of us in manufacturing. But what is it that in the Japanese culture, when you joined Mitsubishi and when you saw the work culture there, did you ever think that, oh my God, when can India start doing this?
Yeah, many a times I used to think like that. The When I went to Japan, I had the opportunity, for example, to ride a bullet train. Within 15 or 20 days of my within 4 or 5 weeks of my stay in Japan, I had the opportunity of riding the bullet train, and I dreamt sometime we should have this kind of trains. It's now bullet train is going to come. Little slow it is coming, but surely it is going to come. Uh, so there were many things in Japan which I found very useful and as a required things in India. Most important, as you rightly mentioned some time ago, it is the way people behave, the discipline, their urge for knowing things, and their urge for doing things right, and their urge for doing good to others and take
Yeah, true.
support each other.
In fact, they clean up the stadiums after football games and all that. I
Mm.
mean, I was told so many times that after the Japanese leave the stadium, before they leave the stadium, they
Yeah,
clean up the entire stadium,
yeah,
which is admirable actually. I mean, we never think of that in India.
yeah.
But more importantly, sir, when you looked at the 20 odd years that you worked there, and did it ever occur to you that okay, we are getting a bullet trains from Japan only? In fact, the Japanese Prime Minister when recently had promised that they would get more trains from Japan and we would start the Ahmedabad Mumbai bullet train soon, and then maybe in a few years' time. The question is also that when you looked at huge conglomerate like Mitsubishi and India opening up its economy, we wanted to bring that technology. How much of Indo-Japanese collaboration is actually happening? Because we hear a lot about collaboration between US companies and India, European companies and India. Suzuki was one such exception from Japan, which early days started with Maruti. But we saw a lot of Japanese companies investing in India. I mean, that's huge number of them. But do you think there was a bit of reluctance from the part of the Japanese to understand the Indians better before they start investing?
The way Japanese work on overseas development assistance is different between probably European countries and Japan.
Okay.
The Japanese aid to India or to rest of the world is mostly first improve the infrastructure and the people's general standards, and follow it up with manufacturing and other uh, opportunities for people. So, in that aspect, they are different from Europe. Europe was trying to, oh, we can get something made easy or cheaper or that sells. So they put stress and pressure on those kind of things.
Okay.
Whereas Japan has given a lot of support to Indian infrastructure for construction of power stations and construction of roads, bridges, such kind of things. They played a very big role.
In fact, JICA and others, of course, also give a lot of funding for Indian metro projects, I mean,
Yeah.
including Hyderabad Metro
Yeah.
and Cochin Metro. We saw that, and huge number of metro trains running across India have got funding from the Japanese. Obviously, the question that would arise is in today's modern world of protectionism that you see, before we get into your area of expertise in terms of your company that you run and your NGO that you run, I would like to ask you this question about the Trump's tariff that we saw, the way the US is reacting to every small thing, way the Chinese are fighting back, or you can say holding up things like rare earth minerals. Do you think the world has come to a place where each country is looking at its own selfish interest to kind of run their industry, protect their people and their jobs? Is it come to that state, sir?
Yeah, I think today's world is looks little confusing and sometimes scary. But I think this is how the history has been. I'm not such an expert of things, or I don't. I can't claim I understand things very well.
Okay,
But
sir.
whenever there is a big brother and a small brother, the relationships are very good. When the brothers start becoming equal and they have something to divide among themselves,
Then the problem
they start
starts.
fighting. So in today's world, China is a big challenger to United States.
That's
So
true.
was at the time of Second World War, Germany was a big challenger to the rest of the world. I think history repeats itself.
Itself,
Or
yes.
the humans have not learned that challenge of being equal and remaining equal.
That's wonderful example, sir. Also, let me now just delve a bit deeper into that. Now, your NARA Japan hub that you run
Yeah.
in Hyderabad, what exactly does it do, sir?
NARA Japan Hub is a offshoot of our Nagarama Trust. We have been living, as you have said in the beginning, for 20 years in Japan. We lived in Japan for 18 years. Then we came back and we had my company, Asa Bhanu Technical Services, for past 30
I'll just
years.
go to that also. Yeah.
And during my stay in Japan and during these 30 years of my entrepreneurial journey, I always was associated with Japan. Japan is like a second home to me. So naturally, when we were in Japan, we used to promote Indian culture, relations with India at my own small level. But we used to continuously play. My wife supported me in a big way, so we could continue to do it. And this Nara Japan Hub is basically started with the intention of bringing good things from Japan to India at our level, and also to increase the awareness of Japan and its good qualities among our people. The other aspect why we started was we when I was in Japan, a lot of Japanese had helped and cooperated and supported me. Today in India, the Japanese community is gradually growing, and Japanese community, when they come and want to settle in India, they face several challenges.
Okay.
The challenges I faced in Japan are different from the challenges what they face
They
in
face in
India,
India.
but all the same they face challenges. So our Nara Japan Hub aims to provide some kind of support and a helping
Hand-holding.
hand-holding, or at least lend our ears and try
True.
to console them. That is the other thing. and we train people for Japanese language.
Oh, that's good.
And we also support people who are going to Japan for work or for learning or things like that. We help them to learn the Japanese etiquette, Japanese ethics, work culture, and things like that, so that when they go to Japan, they find they can easily assimilate and they don't have to go through all what I went through. Of course, the Japanese people very strongly supported me, but now the influx of foreigners into Japan is quite big.
Okay.
So probably the Japanese in Japan today will not be having so much of time to support. So we want to prepare. At least this is our
Great,
aim.
sir. The Asa Bhanu Technical Services,
Yeah.
that's a company that you run. What exactly does the company do, sir?
Basically, as I said in the beginning, I'm an electrical engineer.
Correct.
And in Mitsubishi Electric, I worked in the heavy electric power area, and I worked in the power stations, substations. I was part of power projects in several countries. Iraq, many of the Middle East countries, China, Hong Kong, in Japan and Taiwan, and of course India. So, this kind of long career in Mitsubishi Electric, doing some projects in a very advanced level, some projects according to the customer requirements at the levels that are required in those countries and those societies. I have accumulated a lot of experience in organizing and designing projects. So when I came back, I started this company, Asa Bhanu Technical Services, which is basically an electrical systems engineering company.
Okay. So basically, then when you talk of India being leapfrogging into the power sector in a big way, hydel, thermal, renewable energy, green energy as we call it, uh, do you think we are now at the cusp of changing our technology also in terms of what the old power plants were not so efficient, especially the NTPC kind of old thermal projects? But now, do you think we are now changing that to make it more efficient?
Yeah, of course, today's power plants have they have to do better than the power projects before. They have to be efficient. They have to be less pollutant, and they're quick to build. And they have to learn to work together in collaboration with the renewables. So the technology is changing very quickly, and on account of that, size of the units and location of the power project, all these things have impact, and they are changing.
Now coming to the Nagarama Trust, which you have set up, this again obviously is something to give back to the society after all these years. Can you just take us down through that also? So what exactly is the trust all about?
About Nagarama Trust,
Yes, sir.
Giving back to society is something important, but basically, when I was doing job, I couldn't do what I wanted to do.
Okay.
So today I am 74. When I was 72, I made the decision that I will be out of the routine business operations and try to focus on doing the thing. Of course, some of it is giving back to the society. Nagarama Trust doesn't do what trusts like
Big one, big
big
names.
ones are to say more easily what for example
Tata Trust.
Tata Trust or
Ford Foundation.
Ford Foundation or Microsoft, Bill Gates Foundation. Those foundations basically want to support the to bridge the gap between the haves and have-nots.
Healthcare wise.
But my trust doesn't aim to do that. uh, they are very big, and this problem is very big. Somebody like small like us with small savings, we cannot do that. So what we wanted to do is, where ordinary people, middle class people, they want to do something different,
Sure.
and they want to do something in areas where there is no other help. When I started thinking from like that, I found Japan India to be ideal kind of relationship where lot can be done, not
Okay.
much is being done, and this lot is based on people, educated people, middle class people, people who are looking for opportunities. So this NARA trust is slightly different,
S-
but so then what do? We try to help people learn Japanese, improve their techniques, learn better productivity techniques, and produce better. So such kind of things.
What about as we close this conversation, getting into what today there's a lot of refusal for visas to go to US. Europe is rolling out a red carpet. China is rolling out a red carpet to Indian students to come and do their studies or postdoctoral research there. Do you think Japan also has a lot of academic opportunities for Indian students? Because a lot of Indian parents are today tensed up about what they should do after their children finish their graduation in India. They want them to go to bigger institutions in foreign countries. And with US shutting the doors, does Japan also have a kind of a similar structure where Indian students can look to improve their skills?
Yeah, your question is a little complicated,
No problem, sir.
but anyhow, I try to answer the way I understand. United States has been a big market for our youngsters to go there and find their dream,
Yes, sir.
the American
The
dream,
American dream, the great
American
American
dream.
dream.
So education was one way of going there, sneaking into United States. But whereas, as you said, India needs a lot of educational institutions which are totally different from the earlier setup during the British era.
Correct.
So, in this tussle, our youngsters will definitely need a lot of good places to have higher and modern knowledge. So, in that, from that aspect, definitely opportunities in foreign universities is very much required. So, the European universities and coming European universities and Japanese universities are a big alternative opportunities. Of course, Japan has very well developed universities. Each country follows their own system of higher education, but the basic principles for higher education, that is research, knowledge, and meeting the needs of industry, these aspects are very well taken care in Japanese universities. So Japan will provide a very good opportunity. And when it comes to job opportunities, Japan, Europe are suffering from the lack of youth.
Youth, that's true.
And
It's an elderly population that
yeah,
is there.
the population is very quickly falling down in Japan. And in Japan, almost all areas of human effort have opportunities for youngsters.
Great, sir. So also, as we say, thank you to you and for the wonderful conversation that we're having. The last question, obviously, I would ask you is, when you came back to India after so many years in Japan, 18 odd years, did you get a culture shock in terms of so many things that you take for granted in Japan? And when you come to India, you kind of see a different kind of thing, be it the traffic or be it the cleanliness, the pollution, the way people work, the way people respond, way people turn up for meetings or don't turn up for meetings. Have you got a culture shock when you came back to India, sir?
Yeah, I left India when I was almost an adult. So many of the things what you mentioned, like culture shock, like the basic discipline, civic sense, shortage, things like that. They were very much different from Japan, and it was a little difficult to adjust, but was not a shock. It was some kind of expected thing for me. But more than that, what was unexpected for me was when I left India. For example, India was still around $300 or something like that was our per capita
Per capita.
GDP. When I came back, people were talking about very big projects and very big things and lots of big buildings and things like that.
Fourth largest economy.
Fourth largest economy, such kind of all nice things. But what surprised me was behind that the backwardness of thinking, backwardness of the implementation, backwardness in understanding and adjusting to the situation. These things were very surprised, were a big surprise to me, or is still surprise to me. Even after I spent 30 years back, after I came back to India, still it surprises
We
me.
had a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, we have two things to catch up. One is to improve ourselves in our understanding and way we behave, and the second is, of course, the physical aspect.
Mr. Ram Bhadra, thank you very much for speaking to us. And I'm sure that our viewers who have watched us have got a basic idea about what it is like to be in Japan and the Japanese way of working and the Japanese philosophy of quality and production and everything in it, miniaturization. The Japanese aspect for timing as such, where the trains come on the dot or even slightly before, but they will not come late. But in India, we take a lot of things for granted, and that is a way of life for us. Maybe that we have a lot of catching up to do, as you indicated. Wonderful speaking to us, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Sri Ram Bhadra, chairman of Asa Bhanu Technical Services. He wears many hats. He runs a trust, which we all, as just spoke about, which is the trust that he builds. He tries to give Japanese culture to Indian students, tries to teach them the language and, of course, the way they should behave once they are in Japan, which is the Nagarama Trust. Apart from that, of course, he runs what is now called the NARA Japan Hub that he runs. So, a lot of things that he does in terms of, but they're all focused basically on Japan and the way Japanese work, the Japanese culture. And of course, I think even he should be talking to the Japanese cuisine. Maybe he'll open a Japanese restaurant one day. Let us see how things work out from there. Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah.